Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Lisa Pezik Show. I am so excited today because for the second time ever on this podcast, I have a fellow Aussie with me. I say fellow because even though I'm here in Canada and she's in Australia, I feel like we're like next door neighbors because of how close we've gotten in actually a really short amount of time. So today I have with me my friend, Michelle Eades. She is a fellow author in our Women Who Illuminate book. She is an Aussie, as you heard. And what makes her so interesting is that she is an oracle card intuitive with a passion in past lives. I know, you just like pulled the car over, stopped folding that piece of laundry and went, what are you talking about? So excited to dig in. So first, let me just say, Michelle, thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure, and it is such a joy to be here. I'm so excited. In fact, I am inspired by me with your introduction. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I only speak the truth. You know, we were at a conference together that was part of our best-selling book. Our book is a series of, I believe there's 6 or so books in there. Is it 6 that are in there? Yeah. So all the authors get together and we kind of mastermind and get to know each other and support each other. And I didn't actually have a moment to say hello really at this conference to you, but I remember distinctly she walked right up to me when we were all kind of like saying goodbye and the conference was over and we were wrapping up and it was like, put a bow on it, tie it, done deal. And you said to me, is there a way that we can work together? Like, can we play somehow? And without hesitation, I was like, yes. Because I knew what you did. I knew from Facebook, I knew from our calls in the group and being around each other. But it was a pretty cool moment because here's me, this business strategist, system and lead generation and SEO and courses and funnels and websites and sales psychology and selling person. And then here's you, past life, oracle card. I'm just going to say it. People say woo woo, like stuff. Like, how in the world can our businesses mix? But in getting to know each other, this is the way that I believe business is going. I believe it's that putting humanity back in your business. And I saw a quote that said, you don't have a business problem, you have a personal problem that spills over into your business. And that was like, whoa, that is so true. And it made me realize how you can strategize and systematize and set up all your analytics and deliverables and outputs and to-dos. But if you're not in tune with who you are, you're not going to set boundaries. You're not going to make the right decisions. You're not going to pay attention to the way that the universe is saying to you, hey, you're either on path or you're off path. And that's kind of like, Michelle, the world that you play in. So tell us a little bit about like that, like this world we're playing in and how we're going to play together and what kind of got you like to this point.
It's really interesting listening to your version of how we met because so I want to go back to that moment with like, I was kind of aware that you were at the conference and it was like, didn't really know who you are, but then, I'd heard you talk and I've absolutely adored listening to you and Eric in our getting to know each other thing in our Facebook group. And that was all fabulous. And I went, okay, when I listened to the process you had, it's like listening to a foreign language for me. So while my world is woo-woo, yours is like double Dutch. I have no clue about 90% of what you do. But after listening to you, I thought, you know what? It's worth asking one question. I remember coming over and interrupting your conversation and saying, is it possible to put past lives through your process? And you just said straight off, yes. And it's like one of those defining moments. I'm standing at this point and it's like, I didn't even know this was going to happen. But I ran with it. And the reason I ran with it was because it was a feeling. Like, I really like you. I love the way you spoke. I loved your passion. And I work everything on, does this feel good? Does this feel right? And I was ready for that next thing. It's like, well, where do I go now? I'm doing past lives. This is not normal. This is, in fact, it's not even normal in my world. So it's, how do I make that something that's accessible to everyone? And you were the person who kind of showed up for me. I didn't even really know I was looking for you. And then when you said straight out so the response you gave me was the all-telling, all-defining moment as well, because it was immediate. There was no, I'm not really sure. It was clear and definite and committed. And I went, oh, okay, great. And from there, it was up to, me to follow up, or you to follow up, or us to connect in some way, which we have done. And every time we have a conversation, I just go, wow, our worlds are actually really aligned, because you're intuitive without necessarily realizing that you're being intuitive. And I'm intuitive because it's the way I'm made, and I'm deliberately intuitive. And the two just blend together really well. I just use different tools to get to where I need to go. And now your insights are coming into my world, and my insights are coming into your world. So we're blending them. And we don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how this is going to turn out.
Right.
But I do know it feels fabulous. I feel like I'm doing this. Yes.
Yeah. When we were on a call, didn't we say, what did we say at the end? I was like, I feel like I am spreading my wings and sailing. And you said, I feel grounded for the first time ever.
Yes.
It's
a connection.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, how many times as like humans or entrepreneurs or moms or wives or whatever role you have in your life, like, do you get that feeling and then you like talk yourself out of it? Or, like, it's like you see somebody like at a wedding busting on the dance floor and you're like, oh my God, that'd be so much fun. I should go out there and electric slide with those people. And then you're like, oh my God, but I don't know every step. Am I in the right dress? What should I do with my shoes? And the next thing you know, the song's passed and you missed the moment. So for me, I feel like I've been told a lot of times, like, I think with my head, not my heart. And it sounds to me like you maybe lead with your heart first and your head second. Is that a fair assessment, or what do you think?
Absolutely. Because when I do think I am in my head all the time, just to clarify that, but I am led by what feels right. And when I go into my headspace of what seems right, what is logically right, I just come completely unglued. And that's when I feel I get anxious. I get like I can't stop thinking about things. It's like I don't know I'm like this. It's like I don't know what to do here. Like, what do I do here? That's not my normal land, my normal reality to navigate in. But when I listen to my heart and really more than anything, my gut never leads me astray. And I've been known to walk into restaurants and sit down at the table and receive the menu, and then sit there and go, and my stomach's clenching, and I'm kind of going, I can't do this, and say to my husband, can't be here. And so we get up and we leave.
Wow. And he knows to trust your gut.
And he's nothing like, he has strong intuition, but he's nothing like me. Like, we actually had a bit of a giggle a couple of weeks ago because he was listening to something and he said, there's feeling people and thinking people. I said, yeah, that sums us up. I'm the feeling person and you're the thinking person. Yeah. But it's a marriage made in heaven, literally and figuratively, because the things that I can't do and don't want to do because it is just too messy for me, he does beautifully. And the things that he can't do because he doesn't really necessarily believe what I believe, I do. And so it's like, it's a match made in heaven again. And it's like, that's what it's like being with you. We're learning languages that are different, but are so complementary. They almost have to be, so that we were just like this before, but now they have to work together because it gives us the completeness.
Yeah. And I think the yes came so easy for me too, because as you said, it's like nothing is by coincidence. Nothing is, even though you don't know what that next right step is, you pay attention to what's there. And for me, all I kept thinking about that whole conference was I'm the kind of person that's going to be good at whatever I put my mind to, because that's just an internal drive in me to work hard and get it right and be out of excellence. And like, that's just the kind of person that I am. But that's not always a great marker to decide whether you should or shouldn't be doing something, right? Because someone goes, hey, I think you'd be perfect at this job. And I'm like, bulldoze, rise to the top, right? But am I happy, right? Or you should go build this program because it's going to serve a lot of people. And I'm like, yes, it's going to serve a lot of people. Fantastic. Go and build the thing, market it, launch it, get successful, get in there and start coaching it and go, actually, this doesn't make me happy. Like, even though I'm serving the world and doing good, it's not the thing that lights my soul on fire. So I was thinking in my head, there's got to be other resources, people. The most beautiful part about getting to know somebody is a different perspective. I'm like, there's got to be this whole, I don't have to go at this alone. I'm not right sure like where my next move should be, but I don't have to figure it out on my own. I need to get support from other people. And literally that was like, you came up and were like, hey, can we play? Like, can we make this work? And I'm like, yes, because I can't keep going. If I keep going down the same path I'm going down, I'm gonna get the same result. So you mentioned about how like we are all intuitive. You just have a super heightened awareness and sensitive and gift. And I'm sure it's gift, but also no different than me working my butt off. I'm sure you've had to do some work to be as good at what you do. So I'd like you to talk first a little bit about that piece of like how we're all intuitive and we have that gut or whatever that looks like. And then second, when we say past lives, people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So then I kind of want to dive into that first, or second, I mean. So first kind of intuitive, second past lives and how they kind of join. Does that make sense? Did I confuse?
It does indeed. It does.
Awesome.
So intuition is a muscle, basically. Everyone is born with intuition. Everyone's born psychic. Everyone's born with mad business skills. You know, like everyone's born with these things. We're given all the things, the basic ingredients we need to grow in whatever direction we want to go in. And what you choose to focus on is what feels most comfortable or feels most interesting or feels most inspiring. And so intuition being a muscle means mine just happens to be more developed than the average because I pretty much use it every day.
Yeah.
And it's actually what I realized was I was born intuitive and didn't realize it I knew it, but I didn't know it. And then I didn't realize how much it is just the way I see the world, the same as you would see the world through a very different lens. But we still all have intuition. You know that because you know when you go into an environment where you meet someone and you go, ooh, not real comfortable with you, but okay, I'll just be polite because that's the way I was brought up. Yeah. But you don't pursue something with them because they just don't feel right. They don't, they give you that kind of uncomfortable feeling. And then you meet someone and you just sit down like we did and you go, oh, well, this is easy. In fact, we found it hard to stop talking. And it was kind of like, Lisa, we've been going for like almost 2 hours. Didn't we?
We're both like, we need to eat. Yeah.
So intuition in my world is, I am passionate about, I see things through a different lens and I want to see all the ways the world can work together. So if you think about a kaleidoscope, and a kaleidoscope has all little different pieces of paper and colored glass and things in them and you turn the dial, it's still beautiful pieces, but they're in a whole different configuration. So the path that I chose comes with oracle cards and past lives and all things intuitive, which is actually not that different from what you chose because all your beautiful pieces, this is what makes my heart sing. This is what I'm putting together as a package. Oh, hang on, I've got that information. I can repackage it and put it like this. It's exactly the same process, just using different medium.
That's a beautiful way to describe that. Cause that is, I mean, sometimes people say to me like, I worry that my content isn't original, or I worry that my topic isn't original, or my service offering isn't original. And when you look at it, nothing is technically original, but the way that you do it is the piece that makes you different.
Yes. And when you think about that, it's like we are all guided, even as children, to I really enjoy that. Like the kids who go off and learn to play basketball, and the kids who go off and do gymnastics. You know, they're just, this is partly what my parents wanted me to do, but like, I think I have a comfort with this. I really like doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing where when you say there's no original content, well, no, there's not, but it is original because there's only one version of you.
Yeah.
Like there is only one version of you. So it doesn't matter what content you use. Like I noticed in the conversation when we were having last time, and we were talking about oracle cards, and I said to you a couple of times, I'm interpreting things from, it's like this vast array of everything that you have access to, all the knowledge you've ever had. And I'm interpreting this particular set of information in this way, which I've never done before. So the content is maybe not original, but it is original in its interpretation. And that's just literally a muscle.
Yeah, I think it's in that content, but also in that time, because I'm sure you could pull the same card, but if it's two different people, two different times, like you might even pull the same card for me the next time we do a reading, but see something totally different.
Exactly. And we all do that because it's like when you approach me and when you're talking to me, you're going to talk to me in a way that feels right. It's not necessarily going to be the same way you're going to talk to a male CEO with, who's a big shaker and mover, where you interpret according to the situation that you find yourself in at the time. And that's exactly what I do. I just use oracle cards to do it.
Yes. So tell me a bit about that. Like, so why should someone come to you, or like, what can they expect when they do a reading with you, and like, what's the benefit? Like, why do it, kind of thing?
So the reason you would come to me for a reading is, the first one is I'm going to tell you you're amazing. That's the very first thing I'm going to just make sure everybody understands. I went through a period of about 8 years where I had readings at least once a month. And it was back in the days where I didn't know that I didn't have money. I had to kind of justify it. I had little kids. I was guilty. I had all of this stuff. But when I went in and I had my 1 hour session, the world felt free. And I was given answers that just made sense and resonated with me. So when you come to me, what we're doing is we're just interpreting where you're at. It's a little bit like coaching with a little bit of intuition and vast amounts of years of experience, all rolled into one. But the outcome is you go out feeling better, feeling empowered with insights and strategies, because that's the way I work. Yeah. And because that's what I used to receive. It's like, tell me about this stuff I don't know. And just on that, it's the same approach I used when the guy came to fix my air conditioning. I had an hour's conversation learning about air conditioning and how it all goes together and how it works. I have no concept of how it works now, but I had an inspiring, interesting conversation about understanding how this works and connecting with this beautiful man who was servicing my air conditioner. Yeah. That's how a reading is too. A reading is should never be oh, wow, this is all brand new. It's more a confirmation of what you didn't already know. I should say. You already know it. Yes.
Yes. That was the exact experience that I had with you. And it just validated for me that was the direction. I knew like this was the direction I was supposed to go. And it was like, sometimes when you're about to embark on something new, it scares the shit out of you. And that was like where I was at. But I knew, and it was like, it just gave me that permission to go like, fuck, like there's no backing out now. Like, this is right. Like, and that's where I was saying, like, you see something or you want to go after something or it's right for you. But then for me personally, I get in my head and try to talk myself out of it. And then A, it was like validation, but then B, it was like, what people got your back, whether that's like, because we talked a little bit about some partnerships and things that that we're developing and that I'm getting into. And it's like physical people like got your back to make this happen. But then like the signs And the past life, which was kind of cool, is you had, you shared with me someone that I'm getting mentorship from and getting into a, collaboration with. In like a past life, he like had my back. And it's like, again, that's validation that I met with the right person at the right time, doing the right thing. So it's like permission granted. Like, not that you need permission, but it's like, no, like, this is what you're feeling, and now this is what the signs are saying. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think the key thing with all of this is, does it feel right? Mm-hmm. So, and everything I have ever learned, particularly in sort of like the more alternative thinking, has been get to a better feeling place. Well, what does it feel like? And the reason my intuitive muscle is so well developed is because when I was in my early 20s, I had this realization that everybody kept telling me how things are supposed to be. You're supposed to be like this. You're supposed to be like that. But my gut and the truest sense of me at that time was like, but why does what I'm doing feel right and what you're saying feel not right? And so understanding who I am and what motivated me helped me with that. So when anything you come up with, whether it's the next business partner you're going to work with, the next project you're going to work with, the next reading you're going to have, you go with what feels right. So when I was in my developing years, it was like, oh, I'm going to learn a little bit about this faith and this belief system and this religion. And I took a little snippet out of each, the same as when you meet different people or even listening to different podcast episodes.
Yeah.
You go, oh, I love that. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to take that on board. And then the next podcast might be, that was lovely to listen to, but it wasn't significant for me. Mm-hmm. And so first, there's the connection of, do I relate to you? Do you relate to me? Do you feel comfortable with me? With Oracle cards and the stuff I do you feel safe with me? And I take that very seriously about creating a safe space for people. But then the next part is when all that stuff is going on in your head, exactly like you just described, Lisa. I've got this project and I think I'm going to do this and I think I'm going to do it. Oh my God. And it's like, blah, 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 blah. An Oracle card or a reading or talking to somebody else who actively listens and can give you the outside vision of your story, because you're in the story. So I would be watching and saying, well, this is what you're saying to me. And then we take a card and the card says, oh yes, you absolutely should do this, because the card says, follow your bliss. Yeah. Then there's a sign after a sign after a sign. And what you do with it after that's up to you. But at least you know that it's like the noise just quietens. And it's like you can just be, okay, this feels good. The signs are right. I'm going to take the next step, which is then go and seek out the support team you need. And that's how you and I got to connect.
Totally. And it's so different than how I start in business. It's strategy. It's like getting clear with what is that thing you want or you're building, or that impact or that income goal or whatever it is that's so important to you, that charity, that nonprofit, that whatever. It's like the strategy comes first. And then, like you said, you go and build a team. So we just have a little bit different modalities of how we get people there. Two things that came up for me when you were talking, though, was the first one is kind of just that very simple but incredibly powerful guiding question of like, what feels right? Or does this feel right to me? Because I think so many times, again, I can only speak from personal experience. I was very much taught that, like, get over it. Like feelings are not important. Like, you don't make decisions based on how you feel. And sometimes things feel really shitty, and that's just part of the process. And you know what I mean? Like, I grew up very much where my feelings were not important, meaning that I got disconnected from them. And then when I went into like the nursing world, it was like, people can't see you cry and you got to always have your shit together. So again, it was like, forget feelings. And then sometimes in the business world, it's like the hustle and the grind and the pain, and which there is truth to that. But just that simple question of like, if it is hustle and grind and pain, and it doesn't feel like good hustle and grind and a good pain that's teaching you something or is going to pay off in the end, it's okay to go like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, my friend sent me this one thing. It was an Oprah Soul Sunday session with, I forget the gentleman, he was brilliant, that was on it. Someone like a Deepak Chopra, I believe, like in that woo-woo. I love saying
Yes.
woo, in that woo-woo world. And he was saying that pain means that you're on the wrong boat. Like you're headed down this path and you got on the boat, but like you won't get off it. Even though like, because she was saying like, what does pain teach us? And that's what he was saying. Like pain is teaching us that like you're on the wrong boat. Like you're sailing the wrong way, which is why like tornado and like waves are just like knocking you out. It's not that you're like necessarily doing the wrong things. Like you're on the wrong boat. You're like on the wrong course. And that's like what that makes me think about, that it's like, it's okay to get off the boat. It's okay to turn the sail if things don't feel.
Absolutely.
And it's that simple. You don't need to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in mentors and things to tell you that. Like start, like if you want to do that later, rock out, but start with yourself. And that was like a big thing that came up for me there. And the second thing that I think you do so fabulous, because we did have a reading together. I was like, I got to get a reading before we get on this podcast. So I know exactly like what the heck you do, right? You do an incredible job of creating safety, because I've been to conferences, retreats, like places where they encourage you to go so deep that I believe, now again, this is your world, not my world, in a way, in terms of being the one in charge of leading it. There's a setup that has to happen for someone to feel safe. There's the experience, and then there's the aftermath that I believe the education needs to be done. And I've been in a lot of places that are really good about the delivery, places that are like kind of okay with the setup, good with the delivery, but then there's like no aftercare whatsoever. And when you're talking about past lives and relationships and people and feelings and visions and dreams, like shit gets stirred up. And you do such an amazing job of really guiding through that, like pre, in the middle of it, and then post, as you said, keeping it really positive, really inspiring. Like I wanted to go take action after that call with you. It was a good place that I was in. And I just think, that's huge. Like sometimes that piece of safety, I don't think people would put together intuitive oracle card, past lives, and safety, but it's so important. You do such a good job at that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving me that feedback and saying that. The motivation for that, as we discussed before as well, the motivation for that though is the number of times I have gone into a situation and felt like I've bared my soul, which is very easy for me to do because I tend to be a deep diver and I dive right into things. And, your time's up.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, okay, so I feel like crap. I'm going to go home and I'm going to be written off for a few hours, or in my case, a week or two. So when that happens so many times, or when you find something that works for you, when you find a mentor that works for you, when you find, for me, it was oracle card readings, tarot card readings actually at the time. I would go in feeling terrible and I'd come out going, those people always left me with a hug. And they always left me loved up. And so I was a valued person in that moment. But then when I had some surgery done, it was like, while I was going into the surgery, it was like, oh yeah, we're really connected. We're really on board. Made me feel like I was the only person in the universe.
Yes.
And it was only a small, very small, like 20-minute surgery. When I came back though, for the follow-up, there was no care whatsoever. It was like, how many people can you fit on beds? How many people do we have to see? I was a number in a line. And it's like, no, I don't feel valued. And not feeling valued has been a thing right through my entire life. So, I mean, I'm seeking that out. I want you to know that when you come into my environment, firstly, we're going to hug, even though I don't know you, we're going to hug because I just don't seem to not be able to do that.
Yes.
And then we're going to have conversations, and there's going to be a lot of smiling. And even if we dig into heavy, deep stuff, it's heavy, deep stuff with, I have to say, I do find a lot of laughter takes place for me because I get so excited about, oh my God, look what we just discovered. This is so cool. My client is quite often crying at this point, but I'm like elated inside because one little thing that was blocking them, or big thing in their world, blocking them, just opened up. It's like a bloom, a bud opening into a flower, and I can see the flower. And then at the end of it, we go, well, okay, so are you okay to go? Do you know what to do?
Yeah.
These are the things that you can, some strategies you can do, engage in. And then if there's any follow-up, if there's anything that comes up, let me know.
Yeah.
I have dug into some seriously heavy, deep, disgusting, revolting stuff. And I've had to navigate this path out. And I've learned a lot through working with my naturopath, who literally I go to every 3 weeks. She's my support person.
Wow.
And about 95% of our sessions are about past lives and how to navigate them. Wow. And so there's always someone who can help you shine a light, see the light, turn on the light, whatever it is, in whatever you're stuck with. And sometimes it's not a big, I'm stuck with, I'm just a bit, that we can navigate through too. There's always, but there absolutely has to be a follow-up care, when I leave you, because I can't take you with me.
Yeah. And it's heavy, deep stuff with a purpose.
Yes.
Again, it's like, you're not just getting in there and telling people stuff I think the woo-woo sometimes, it's because it's like you go to the county fair and you see the reader
with the crystal ball.
The gypsy. Yeah, you see the gypsy, and it's kind of laughed off as like, oh, something fun to do, but there really is no meaning or purpose or value, in it. And yours is, it's like you can't lump those people in the same, like you and them in the same category, because it's so different. Yours is so purposeful and with intent and set up so beautifully, and there's a process involved in it. And the trust, again, going back to that safety, again, this is where we play in parallel. It's like people have to trust me with their business and their baby and their dream. And that gets messy and mucky and emotional and all that sort of stuff when we're working through it. Like teaching people how to get on camera, so much insecurity and vulnerability and negative self. Like you dive deep into people's psyche when you're starting to coach them on that sort, even just money mindset and what are you going to charge for this program? And that's where I see how much of our worlds collide, because it's like, you got to get to a place where you're so solid with yourself that all of that diminishes. And it's like that trust factor of being willing to see it a different way and get those strategies from someone else. I'm like, I even said to you, I'm like, you're going to be on my monthly radar, because I like it. You're right. It's possibility, it's perspective, it's strategies. And it's a different kind of coaching and support that I think most people don't realize that they need, but they need it. And
exactly. And if I can just jump in here and say, there's a couple of reasons for deep diving into any of this stuff. It's like, okay, so if you're in business and you don't know, your business is all worked out, you're not making money, you don't talk to somebody who is outrageously successful with money, or you listen to your podcast. You find someone who can help you unlock that thing, or unlock whatever it is you're doing, or just simply teach you something different. So the same works with this too. I mean, instead of going to a psychologist, you might go and have an oracle card reading or a tarot reading, or see a clairvoyant, or have your palm read, or whatever. It's whatever floats your boat. It's like whatever makes you feel great. So when I started, it was one of the very first readings I ever had, or the very first reading I had was about past lives, but about the boy at school who said to me when I was 14, we've known each other before. Don't ask me why, but when I heard that, it was like, if I was reading it as a document, it was in really big font, and it was like yelling at me. It's like flashing, and I'm going, okay, 14 years old I was. And of course, back in the day, the part of the reason there's a woo-woo has the reputation it has is because it's only now that it is so open. Like,
yes.
I do past life readings on Facebook. It's like they're live. It's like I'm talking about this, and yet 20 years ago, I wouldn't have even mentioned this in the schoolyard to another parent because when my kids were young, it was like, oh, they looked at me strangely. And it's like, we don't want to be looked at strangely. And yet at that point, one of my really significant readings was about why do I have problems with my dad? And my dad, in a past life, as my father and I was his daughter, had me beheaded. So these stories, while they aren't important to a lot of people, that actually is significant to me and my relationship with my dad in this lifetime. Because if I know that, then, like every little bit of wisdom, knowledge, insight, learning helps me make a more informed decision, helps me take action without going, oh, this is driving me mad and I can't do this. I'm just going to react. Well, now I can say, hey, you know what? Not that it really eased things, but it eased in me. So I got to a better feeling place. But the same thing you can do with business. So if you have I want to do this, but I can't quite work, money's a really big one. I can't work out why I can't up level to that next money thing. And what if you found out there was a past life where you'd taken a vow of poverty? Or what if you had found that there was a past life where you gave all your money away to other people who were in need and you didn't know how to, you didn't reap it, you didn't bring it back. You didn't have a system where the money went out, but it also came in.
Yes.
And if you open up, it's like opening up the chapter in a book and going, oh, let me open my book of Michelle and go, right, what are we learning today? Then you can take action. Sometimes it's just being aware of it and you go, hey, that was old Michelle or whoever I was in that life. We don't have to do that this time. So what's the learning I can take from that? And equally so, I want to be on the world stage. Well, what if you had a past life where you were a burlesque performer? And so it was like bared all, well, why do I have any fear of public speaking or going on stage? I've done this before. So you can bring that message in as well. So past lives are just part of the map of what makes us who we are. And sometimes it can give you insights into how you can travel forward, being more informed and being calmer and kinder to yourself.
That is, I'm just like, mic drop. I don't even need to commentate on that. That is amazing. So how can people get a reading from you, get in contact with you? Your website is michelleeades.com, right?
Yes.
MichelleEades.com. Don't worry, I'll put it in the show notes if you're scrambling for a pen and paper. Or on Facebook, Pieces of Me is your page. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Pieces of Me is my business page. You're most welcome to reach out to me, just Michelle Eades. I'm probably I don't even know how you find me, but Michelle Eades. I've got this very pretty profile picture at the moment. On Facebook, message me. I'm absolutely available, or you can email me, michelle@joyexpress.com.au.
I love it. I feel like this podcast, I need like 4 hours and 97 minutes. Like I could go forever.
Me too.
So incredible. Thank you so much for just hanging out with me. And thank you for coming up to me and being so bold and beautiful and just saying, how do we do this? Because I'm so excited to see y'all listeners, like Michelle and I are going to be doing some business stuff together.
Absolutely.
So you'll be hearing from us again. You'll be hearing from her and how we can serve you, because I think we've got something powerful cooking up. Even though we don't quite know exactly what it's going to be yet, our intentions are in the right place. So
it's easy with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for hanging out with me.
It's been a joy being here. Thank you.